We're back.
Double coverage, double coverage, double coverage.
Mama, we made it.
The network picked us up. We're like established now.
We need the signs that says like clap, cheer, laugh.
J-Mac here, D-Mac to the right. Welcome to Double Coverage.
Mama, we made it.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Double Coverage with the McCourty twins, a podcast that takes you inside the life of two NFL players who are very similar, but yet very different. Make sure if you're watching on YouTube, you hit the subscribe button, and you can catch us on all other podcast streaming things like iTunes, Spotify, all of that good stuff. And as always, you can follow us on social media, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, at McCourty Twins. Welcome in my co-host, D-Mac, Devin McCourty. Welcome to the show, man.
Thanks for having me. This is my show, so you don't have to welcome me. I'm here if you're here. You're here if I'm here. So let's get rolling.
Hey, before we get into all the nuts and bolts in football, let's just talk about balancing football life versus family life and everything going on at home. For you, this year, you welcomed in your third child, my guy Chase William McCourty. What's it like now? Obviously, you've been a dad, been a husband throughout your career, now going into your 12th year, and now you're balancing a newborn who's only, 3-4 months old now? I don't remember because I don't get to see him.
3 months. You should know your nephew's age. It's what I like to call good chaos. You always come home to chaos, but it's that happy-go-lucky, make you happy, make your heart smile. What do they say? Make your heart skip a beat. Doo-doo. That kind of chaos is always, as soon as I walk in, there's two kids screaming, daddy's here. Hopefully Chase isn't screaming. A lot of times he's napping. He's actually napping right now. London's at dance and Braden's in there eating pizza. So it's always a good chaos. But I mean, you probably have it a little bit better because your kids get to come home and it's 80 degrees or 90 degrees every day. You got a pool. The 305's treating you pretty good, huh?
They complain about the heat all the time. It's too hot to go outside. It's too hot to do this. But it was an adjustment period. For them, especially mine are 8, 5, and 4, so they're all at the age where now they're kind of aware of what's going on. When we had to move from Tennessee to Cleveland to Foxborough, they kind of were just blowing with the wind, just going along with it. And then this time when we had to move, it was, I'm going to miss this friend, I'm going to miss that friend, my school, I've been there for 3 years. And that was a tough thing, but I would say now they're adjusted. It's a process. I think sometimes we kind of overlook what it all looks like and what it entails, kind of moving your entire family, especially the kids. Like there's Mondays where no one wants to go to school. Like there was one Monday where my son Caden was full out tears as we're walking him into school because he doesn't want to go. Ended up having a great day, but that's just kind of what the day-to-day can possibly be like. And then obviously for my wife, she has to get reacclimated. We're on a lot younger team this year, not as many married couples with kids and all of that. So finding that space between football and finding the date nights and the whole nine of kind of trying to just keep it balanced, being able to enjoy both of them. Are your kids at the age where like they acknowledge like that you play football, they know what's going on and the whole nine, or is it just daddy's at work?
No, the two oldest, I mean, Sunday they watch the game, like the 1 p.m. games, they watch it, but they don't really they don't care what happens in the game. But like you said, but I will say I agree with you. Getting away for like a date night and things like that is awesome. And like you enjoyed it with one kid, then you really enjoyed it with two kids. But then we have a newborn as your third kid.
Gotta get away.
Anytime we get out to dinner, it is a blessing.
The crazy thing, as I say, like, are the kids aware? So we started this thing now where like we'll print out like all the games coming up that week, and each kid and me and Melissa will each choose like, all right, who we think is going to win the game. So obviously when we get to whoever we're playing as a team, like I'm always going to choose our team. Caden, my son, refuses to pick us to win. So we started this after our first game versus you guys, and every week we played Buffalo, he picked Buffalo. Then we played the Raiders. He picked the Raiders. And then obviously he's a Tom Brady fan, so he picks the Bucks every week. So I go to him this game. I'm like, the Bucks lost, like trying to talk trash. He goes, yeah, but that's okay because I picked the Raiders and they won. Just like he thinks it's funny that we don't win the game. Like that makes his day. So
who is he picking for the Sunday night showdown? That's what we need to know.
I'm telling you right now, don't get your feelings hurt. But if Tom Brady's out there, he's picking Tom Brady. That's by far his favorite player.
I knew I shouldn't have let him sleep on my floor in the basement. I knew I should.
If there's anybody looking for a 5-year-old boy, I'm willing to FedEx him, UPS, whatever gets him there the quickest, I'm willing to send it. But talking about like the football and family, like seeing Andy Reid, he's fine now, but was rushed to the hospital post-game. That kind of puts stuff in perspective. Have you ever had to deal with like any like serious injury or illness with football and trying to like manage it or anything of that nature? I remember you hurt your eye in college, which at the time seemed pretty serious.
Yeah, that was probably the scariest thing, just because it was a few times like I made a tackle or something, or not even always like on the football field, but like I would just kind of see spots out of an eye. And we played in a bowl game out in Tampa, and go to make a tackle, and I get up, and Coach Shannon was aware that it had happened before. So when I said it, I had to get walked into the locker room. Then they took me to the nearby hospital. Mommy's coming down, she's searching, where that was that, and like I just didn't know what was happening. It was my last year, my senior year, last game of my senior year, and really kind of all I could think about was like, man, am I never going to be able to play football? They're going to tell me something bad. So that was just hectic because, then once we got to the emergency room, I needed to see a specialist, and there was obviously no one there. It was like, I think maybe 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock at night. So I just ended up sitting in the hospital for a couple hours, and then got to come back, probably like an hour and a half, 2 hours. I'm being dramatic. Then I got to come back and hoist the trophy up with the guys, because we were in what bowl were we in? Do you remember that bowl?
St. Petersburg?
St. Petersburg. Yeah, some bowls you just don't remember. It just goes like that.
Toilet bowl.
Yeah, it goes like that. Pizza bowl, as Bill says.
That's accurate. Let's get into a little bit of football. Let's start it off right from here. Josh Gordon reinstated, signs with the Kansas City Chiefs. How do you feel about it? Excited? Worried? What are your thoughts on JG getting back in the league?
You see, I'm clapping it up. I had to shoot my man a quick DM on Instagram. Congrats, happy for you. Just like we always talk about, getting to know JG from his time in New England, and I know you spent some time with him in Cleveland. And to see I
don't ever talk about being in Cleveland.
But you were in Cleveland, and just to see him as a person, genuine good guy, loves playing football, working hard. So I'm excited for him to be on Kansas City's practice squad, and hopefully get a chance to build, learn the offense, and get into that. And obviously a really good football team, and a team that'll probably try to wrap their arms and help him out. And I know in our society, it's like, man, he has so many opportunities. But I think it's also a result of how now any type of drug use is being viewed a lot different than when we were really young babies back in the 80s, when it wasn't really seen as that. It was seen as very criminal. So it's cool to see him kind of reap the benefits of that and get another opportunity to be in the NFL. So he's a guy that I think a lot of guys that they pray for, they want him to see him do well. So I'm hoping it goes well for him out in Kansas City.
Yeah, like you said, definitely rooting for him and wishing him the best. And like you said, praying for him. Hope he takes off from here and just is able to remain healthy. And like you said, new group of guys, they'll probably embrace him. And just wishing JG the best out in Kansas City, hoping that they're not too good. We're all in the AFC, so don't want to see them hoisting any more trophies or anything like that. So good, but not too good. You know what I mean?
And he's not the only one on the move. Jacksonville trades Henderson to the Panthers, and the Panthers trade Dan Arnold and a third-round pick, I believe. Former first-round corner Henderson out of the University of Florida was kind of, not at home, but back in Florida, Jacksonville. Traded to the Panthers after the Panthers lost J.C. Horn for an extended period of time. So they add a corner who I think they said they've liked for a while. So it'll be, that's always tough. Like, he's only in his second year, he gets traded. We have a, similar but even crazier situation. Sean Wade, corner out of Ohio State, is a rookie and gets traded to us towards the end of training camp. And he's been a great addition, quiet guy. Reminds me a little bit of Gilly from the quiet level, but a really good guy.
Is he quieter than Gilly? Is that possible?
Not as quiet, but he will admit he is a really quiet dude. but he's been fitting in well and improving. Obviously comes from Ohio State, played under Greg Schiano, was defensive coordinator at Ohio State when Sean was there, so we shared some Schiano stories. Obviously none that we can repeat because we know. Nah, I'm joking. But it was cool just when he got there, getting to talk to him about that. So, second-year player on the move, and Dan Arnold gets a new home in Jacksonville at the tight end.
And it's
position.
kind of crazy, and it just goes to show you how crazy the league is. First-round draft pick, but then next thing you know, Jacksonville cleans house. And get all new people in there. And next thing you know, you get drafted somewhere first round. You buy the house. You get situated. You think I'm going to be here for at least the next 4 to 5 years. And next thing you know, you're packing your stuff up and you're moving to Carolina. It reminds me of Devontae Davis on Hard Knocks, where Philbin calls him in the office and he's telling him he's being traded. And the first thing Vontae says is, man, I got to call my grandma. And people sometimes you take for granted that 21, 22, 23 years old, young guys, like, this is crazy. Like, I've been in one place at home. I went away to college. And we know as Division I athletes, especially you go to some of these big time schools, I mean, everything is kind of mapped out for you. Like class schedule, tutors, all of the whole nine, and then you get drafted to a team and you kind of assume like, hey, I chose the school I'm going to, went there for 4 to 5 years, everything was cool, now I got drafted, all right, I'm going here for the next however many years, and boom, just like that, you're traded and you don't have any say in the matter. And no different than that, you saw with the Lions, they were trying to trade Jamie Collins, and this is kind of, I guess, a new thing in the leagues where it's just like, all right, Jamie Collins, we're going to trade you, so we're just going to send you home until we're able to find a trade, so somebody suited to trade you. And then they end up releasing Jamie. But that's kind of crazy, where it's just like, you can come into work every day, do what's asked of you, play football, and we can just decide as an organization, you know, like, we're just going to go a different way. So, hey, take this however much amount of money and just go sit at home, and we'll let you know what we're going to do.
Which we understand. It happens all the time. I just want people to have the same energy when they tell a player to honor their contract, to keep that same energy for the team to honor their contract. Because now Jamie, Miller's season, beginning of season, going into week 4, he's looking for a new home. And he'll eventually find a new home. Obviously, an awesome football player. Maybe his new home's back in New England. I don't know. Maybe it's down in Miami. Some familiar faces. We don't know. But now he's on the move. He has to pick up, move, go somewhere else. And learn maybe a new playbook. Maybe it's a similar playbook that he's known for years. But now he's got to pick up his family. He's got to move. He has kids. So that's an element, like you spoke about earlier, that people just don't get to see. But it's why football players are true professionals as well.
Yeah, and I think what you said is a good point of keep the same energy, because I think as you talk about it, you're not saying like, hey, sympathize, feel sorry for this guy. Like, no, it's a business no different than somebody working in in the corporate world where you get a different job offer, or next thing you know, the job ends where you're picking up and you're moving across the country or doing something that very similar. But like you said, it's just the same, no different than when a guy's holding out to make sure if he's outplayed his contract, he gets paid. No different than when a team thinks, hey, this guy's underperforming, or hey, we just drafted his replacement, we no longer need him. You're pushed out the door and there's no second thought. So that's the business side of it. And you've been on teams where guys have held out as of high, and that's why you always say, hey, I respect this guy, his personal decision to make sure that he's taken care of and his family's taken care of. And it's just going on throughout the league. You see, I saw today in Indianapolis, Marlon Mack and the Colts have decided to seek a trade partner. And obviously Hines and Jonathan Taylor, 2 other running backs that are in that backfield, are performing really well and kind of makes him expendable. And this is a guy we watched, it was a few years ago, maybe 2 years ago, where he was tearing the league up. And now all of a sudden he's looking. So, and that's what I think, I don't want to get sidetracked, but you tell young guys all the time, and I talk to my wife about it all the time when she gets a chance to talk to some of the young girlfriends or wives, and the one thing we say is, hey, like, don't get too high, don't get too low, and make the most of this opportunity of playing in the NFL, but don't make it the most, or make the most important thing in your life, because that's how this thing goes. 1 minute, you're on top of the world, your picture's on the side of the stadium, you're the franchise guy, you're this, you're that, and you're the third, and the next minute, you're fighting to make the roster or you're a cap casualty and you're released from the team. So I think it's important to always keep it in perspective and know, like, this is my job. I play football. I love it. I dedicate a lot of time and energy for it, but it's not the end all be all, because I remember when I first came in the league, the old guy said to me, hey, this game at some point will humble you. It does it to all of us, no matter how high you get, how low you get. And it's very true. I've been humbled by this game many a times, and it's just something to always kind of to remember and never lose sight of.
Yeah, speaking of pictures on the side of the stadium and all of that, if you had to name one player that you can see becoming a real boxer and had a long career, who would you say?
I think I see what you're doing there as we talk about Frank Gore getting into boxing. As hard as it was to tackle that guy, I would probably say he can be pretty successful at it.
He's not a guy you're going to be jumping to get in the ring with. You're not going to be in a rush to get in there with. But kudos to Frank Gore after playing. I want to say it was like 17 years at running back. On the all-time, I think he's third or fourth all-time rushing list. Yeah, to even want to box and still take that abuse. Big kudos to Frank Gore. Every player I've ever talked to that's played with Frank Gore, I was talking to Brandon Bolden probably 2 or 3 weeks ago. He said Frank Gore is one of the best teammates he's ever had, the ultimate OG. So big shout out to Frank Gore taking up boxing. He'll probably be legendary at that too, just like he was to the game of football, coming back through adversity, injuries, all of that. So we wish Frank Gore the best of luck in that endeavor.
Yeah, and like you said, getting your body beat up and battered. As injuries occur in the league, you see, for you guys, James White was carted off. Blake Martinez, ACL. KJ Hamler out for the season with the Broncos. What's it like? I won't get into like the out indefinitely in the season and injuries right now, but what's it like just from a week-to-week basis of dealing with those bumps and bruises? You see guys dealing with, right now we have Tua dealing with rib injuries. I know you had a rib injury at one point. What's it like just week to week getting yourself going and your body ready to play, especially now in your 12th year?
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, you have to just stay on top of everything you do day in and day out. You build a routine. Kevin Falk taught me that. You build a routine that you do. And if the days change, the night of the game changes from Sunday to Monday or Sunday to Thursday, you just switch your day and you just lock in that routine and move it to that day. And that was some of the best advice I got. But I would be remiss if I didn't talk about, just Sunday, seeing James have to get in that cart, a captain, a leader of this team, really a kind of like the heartbeat of the offense this year. And you saw anybody that watched the game, how many guys walked across the field once they saw the cart come out, and just was dropping to a knee praying for James. So we continue to just pray for him for a speedy recovery. One of the best people you can be around. I don't care where you're at, what you need to talk about. James is going to be that super positive person. I always get on him because he's so positive. He has really no a-hole in him. So just a great dude, and just hoping for the best for him.
No doubt about it. And you just hope those guys, you stay in the building, continue to rehab, because being injured can put you in isolation sometimes. So got to just make sure you're staying in and you're kind of keeping in contact with the guys. And like you just mentioned, making sure you're keeping your same routine. What are your thoughts on all the taunting penalties? I mean, I don't know how I feel. I feel like we've allowed more celebrations for touchdowns. I feel like the taunting, I get it. Don't do it in the face of a guy. But like, it's part of the game. Like, as long as it's not, like, you can't do anything. But two guys, if somebody makes a play, two guys nose to nose talking trash, I'm all for that. Like, this is a game that's played with a lot of passion and a lot of emotion.
Yeah, I mean, I think I get what they're trying to do. The emphasis, let's make the game look clean. Everything's about optics, right? But I do think it's hard right now because, like you just said, I saw the game with Keenan Allen. It looks like he didn't like the way the guy hit him, and he tells him about it, and he gets flagged for taunting. And I don't think he was taunting at all. He didn't just catch a pass or anything. And I don't know, maybe they don't want to see that either. I don't know. But I think eventually this will come back down, and it'll be called in a way that
just
makes a little
emphasis this year.
Yeah, so I think it'll come back and be a little bit more normal. It's like pass interference was a couple years ago, where it was like flag, you get a flag, you get a. So we'll see how it goes, but yeah, I mean, I don't know. I didn't think all of that. I didn't think that led to anything bad of why this became an emphasis. But I think from the outside looking in, I think that they probably poll fans and think, well, do what they think. I don't know, but we'll see how it works out. But 15-yard penalties are huge penalties. So guys are going to have to understand how to not get these flags, because these hurt your team in a big way.
No doubt about it. No doubt about it. As you saw, Richard Sherman is visiting the Bucs. Excited to see kind of him just back on the radar, people talking about him. I saw he made a comment, or I think talked about obviously what went on with him this offseason, and said, like, if you want to judge me off one lapse of good judgment over built up years of credibility, that's on you. And I think that's a very good point. We all make mistakes, things happen. Ready to rebound, you get up when you get knocked down, and hoping to see Sherman back in the league, because obviously one of the best corners to ever play in the NFL. So looking forward to him being back in the league. And I don't hate to beat a dead horse and go back into vaccinated, unvaccinated, and all of that. But the NBA players are dealing with it now, where some NBA players are saying they refuse to get vaccinated and aren't going to be able to play in their, maybe whether it be home arenas, depending upon where they're playing, or be able to go to practice and the whole nine. Kind of crazy right now, just everything going on.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it was kind of to be expected, but I think when fans and everybody else, you felt like you went through it with the NFL. You went through it with the players, so now you're like, I thought we were past that, but the NBA is just starting now. So, some of those guys had the same viewpoints and opinions that some of the NFL players had, and now you're seeing it come front and center. I think the rules are a little different in the NBA with the home games and all that. I don't fully understand why you would be able to not play a home game, but play an away game.
Depending on what state it's in. States have different regulations.
So you could miss a lot more than just home games.
Yeah,
basically.
Depending upon what those state regulations are. And it's kind of crazy, because obviously here in the NFL, we have majority of players are vaccinated, but you still have some guys that are unvaccinated. And I wouldn't say, like, throughout the course of the season, like, I didn't feel less safe around an unvaccinated guy versus a vaccinated guy.
Well, they're getting tested every day.
Yeah, and the protocols, they're wearing their masks. And it's tough, because I saw Beal say, like, people that are vaccinated are getting COVID too. So it's just like, and in our league, the rate at which guys are getting COVID is still higher for the unvaccinated versus the vaccinated. So you still see some of the positives from it. But I think you said it early in the season, where being vaccinated is a personal choice that each person has to decide for themselves and their family. And that's it. Case closed.
Yeah.
Do with it what you want,
And it's all been a slippery slope, because players don't have to get vaccinated, but staff. So I saw an article on ESPN where some staff members were talking to reporters saying they're not happy about that. So we're seeing what we're seeing all throughout the country, the vaccine, and do you get vaccinated, don't you, my rights, your rights. It's a bunch of mess, and it's not going to stop anytime soon. We're going to be in this for a while with the wheels just rolling. So as we get into the group chat segment, that was kind of group chattish. I thought it was interesting. We talked about this in the locker room, so not group chat, but locker room chat. It's all the same stuff. Calvin Johnson wants his $1.6 million. He had to pay back when he retired. So, like, I don't think they should have made him pay it back. But they're not gonna give that to him now as a retired player just to come around. I don't think they're gonna do that.
But you're right, though. How do you ask Calvin Johnson? I mean, he was there through some of the worst years for the Lions, and Hall of Fame guy.
Everything he had.
Everything he had, body parts and all, catching the ball over 8 people. Just get a guy his money, man. In the group chat as well, Ben Simmons in Philly, they said they wanted to come talk to him. He was out in L.A. He said, y'all stay in Philly. I don't got nothing to say to you. Insane. I get it. Frustrations, but don't want to hear from you.
And what do you think about that? Because Ben Simmons went through a lot last year at the end.
He did.
That playoff game, it didn't sound like Philly really wanted him back. And now, I don't know if they try to trade him or not try to trade him. But now it's kind of like, oh, no, we want you. Like it's an interesting thing right there.
Yeah, and sometimes for the player, you got to be like, man, business is business. I'm going to show up and do my thing, but we really don't got to sit around and have a kumbaya moment and talk about it because feelings were already spoken. I know how you really feel, so you ain't got to come here and just feed me a whole bunch of nonsense. Just save it. When the dates hit, I'm going to show up and play some ball, but let's just leave it at that. You know what I mean? And on the I Am Athlete podcast, Des Bryant went on and kind of said Kaepernick had a ton of respect for him, but when it came down to being about that action, he said he didn't feel like Colin Kaepernick was about the action and didn't really do actionable things for the people that he was standing up for. I don't know about that. It seemed like Kaepernick did a lot. Like, not only donating his own money, but starting different companies, production company. I saw Jamil Hill kind of came back at him. And I was just always under the impression that Cat was doing a lot. Like, people might not have agreed with his methods or how he was doing it, but he was doing it. You know what I mean? And currently is doing it.
Yeah, and I would say, one of the things that stuck out was early, he was the first one. He pledged like $1 million. I don't remember what organization he pledged it to, but he was one of the first people to put like not just his mouth and advocate for other people, but like actually his dollars. Like, these are my dollars that I've earned from football. I'm putting it down, saying like, this is what I believe in. So I think we always have to be careful when you become like that outside person looking in. Like, I don't know Kaepernick that well. I know some of the things he's done. I don't know all of the things he's done because I've never had a conversation with him. So I think, sometimes you're in there with somebody like, boom, we're strapped in, we're going. So, sometimes you don't. And I think once you speak on those things, I just think you want to make sure you know exactly what you're speaking on, especially when it was a man who really put his career on the line. And his career, it ended because of him standing up and raising awareness. And Des Bryant did say he respects the awareness that he raised and how he really got players to get more out there, get more involved. And I think what Des Bryant really wanted truly was a united front from all players. But I wouldn't put the non-united front all on just Kaepernick. Like, it's hard to unite any amount of people. Look at what we're going through right now. We're talking about vaccines. We're talking about COVID. Like, you bring up any subject, it's hard to just unite everyone and get on one page. That's very hard to do. So, I think just from, us, a little bit of we've done in this space, Cap has really been a catalyst. He's done a ton for people in the community and things like that. And it sucks his NFL career got wrapped up in that. And it was, it made people question, like, is he trying to save his career? And I think ultimately he gave up his career to do something else that he was passionate about. And I think you have to respect that whole thing. You respect it, even if it's not, what you wanted to do, or you want it to be more about, like, I don't know the case, but we've said it here before, man. Big respect for what Cap has done, and big respect for Des going, speaking his mind, and feeling free. Hey, it's a free country. Des, do your thing. And I think Des has done good things.
And that's what I was about to say, exactly. And kudos to him, too. And I think, like you said, you talk about NFL, you talk about a bunch of alpha males who have gotten to where they've gotten by a lot of decision-making and having to almost probably not follow the path that was set out for them and really having to make tough decisions in tough moments. And when you try to unite everybody, because we were a part of it kind of in 2016 when Cap first took a knee, and then Malk was putting his foot, and everybody tried to come together, and it's tough. It was tough. And I think at the end of the day, if we're all doing things to advance our communities and we're moving in that direction, whether we're doing it together, as long as we kind of pump each other up and respect one another, essentially we're doing it together. I might be doing it in New Jersey, or I'm in Miami, or you're doing it in the New England area. Des may be doing it in Texas. Cap may be doing it everywhere, or wherever it is. If we're all kind of spreading similar messages and moving forward, we're all kind of working together in a sense by just continuing to talk about it and be about it. And I think that's an important part of it, is just making sure we're never dividing ourselves. And not to say Des was doing it. I think he was respectful to Cap but also trying to state his opinion on it. And like you said, everybody's free to have their own opinion. I just want to continue to see those guys, both of them, continue to do work and continue to make positive change in our community.
Yeah, no, I agree. And we'll actually speak later on about doing stuff in the community and trying to be active. But right now we got, I got the right shirt on today. We got the Dan O'Brien Keeping It Awesome moment of the week. J-Mac, what you got? What kept it awesome this week?
Man, Teddy Bridgewater and Justin Simmons, and as you know, a lot of times in NFL post games, both players from both teams will come together right kind of at midfield around the logo area, take a knee and just say a prayer. Thank God for getting guys through the game healthy, for allowing us to play a game that we grew up loving and fell in love with, and just kind of protecting us and our families and kind of the whole nine. And I think it was Justin Simmons was doing a post-game interview that had a big win, and he's a guy that usually does the prayer and turned around and the prayer was over. And who was sitting there waiting for him on a knee was Teddy Bridgewater, and said he knows Justin comes over there to do the prayer each and every week and didn't want to leave his brother hanging and wanted to make sure he was still there to pray with him. And we always say the NFL brotherhood and this, that, and the third, and I think that was a shining example of that brotherhood in our league, of guys continuing to be there for one another, whether it's a prayer after the game, whether it's a tough time outside the building. Guys are always there for each other, and we always talk about it when guys leave the game. That's what you miss, is that brotherhood and the camaraderie that you have with the guys around you.
Yeah, I thought Justin Simmons said a cool thing. He said he just believes that God brings people in your life at different moments for a reason, and he feels like that with Teddy Bridgewater. So, and they're off to a great start, undefeated 3-0. So that AFC West is pretty tough out there. But J-Mac, who y'all got this week as we preview the week coming up? Where you guys headed?
We're right here in the 305 Miami Gardens at Hard Rock Stadium. The Indianapolis Colts will be coming to town. Obviously, Carson Wentz, now the quarterback, two really good running backs in Hines and Jonathan Taylor, and then some big receivers in Pascal and Pittman and all of those guys. So it's going to be a tough challenge, obviously, on defense with Darius Leonard and Kenny Moore and the guys in their front seven that they have. We're obviously coming off two back-to-back losses. So coming back home, the last time we were at home, didn't put out a good showing for our fans here. So we want to make sure we're preparing our butts off this week, starting today, tomorrow, through Saturday, so that when we step foot on that field on Sunday, we're ready to play and we're ready to put a better product on the line. But enough about me. Obviously, you guys have, and everybody keeps saying Tom Brady coming back to Foxborough. I would be remiss to not say Tom Brady and Robbie G are coming back to Foxborough. Obviously, a lot going on. You guys like us coming off a loss, so I know there's a lot going into the game this week as Tampa Bay rolls into town.
Yeah, what a week. I mean, we honored Julian Edelman last week, Sunday.
Squirrel.
Flying Squirrel comes back. Crowd's going crazy. They pulled out the J-Mac. They rolled out the red carpet for the man. Red carpet leading from like the Optum Lounge area. He didn't
like
even
an
have to
actual,
walk.
like an actual red carpet.
Actual red carpet. He didn't even have to walk on the turf, man. We saw it on our way back out as he addressed the crowd. Awesome energy. I got to say what's up to Jules before the game, but most importantly,
I want to be there when they do this. I just want to be there when they do this for you too. But that's down the line. But yeah, go ahead.
Anyway, I got to be there for Jules, but most importantly, I got to see Edel Mom and Edel Dad, the real MVPs, when you see Julian Edelman. And he was there with his baby girl. So awesome moment. But yeah, with Tom and Robbie G coming back, it's going to be a lot of excitement. We haven't won at home yet. So this is a big week for us here in New England. Obviously, the most ultimate hype game you'll ever encounter. I mean, there's going to be more hype in this game than the Super Bowl games. So we just got to try to lock in on what we need to do. Study Tampa because we need a win in a bad way. We need to come out and play well because it's a really good football team. Every side of the ball, special teams, offense, defense. You name the position, they have a guy in the top 10. I mean, it's without a doubt, it's that type of football team. So we'll have to really, play some really good football, really play our best football to go and try to get a win at home. But Sunday Night Football, big game. Obviously, everyone want to talk about Tom and Bill and the return and all of that, but it'll come down to who plays better Sunday night, and that's what we got to try to focus on.
If you like football and you like competition, Sunday
Did you see
night
Tom?
is where you
Did
want
you
to
see?
be.
I think Tom said that.
That's a classic Bill Belichick quote. You know that's coming this week.
Definitely coming this week. J-Mac, who won and who lost the weekend?
This is a peculiar one. I'll start off easy here. Josh Gordon obviously won the weekend, back in the NFL, joining the Kansas City Chiefs, a really good team, a really good quarterback, great opportunity for our guy JG out in Kansas City. But the second one, Eli Manning, I'm going to say lost the weekend, but he also won the weekend. During the Monday night game, talked about his warm welcome that he used to get in Philly when he was going to his division rival. He talked about one time a 9-year-old kid flipped him the bird, both hands, and he actually did it.
We'll do it with the pinkies.
Camera. Yeah, do it with the pinkies.
Birds.
There you go. That was Eli. And he figured they'd blur it out. They didn't blur it out, so he came out of the commercial break, apologized, but also mentioned that he can't do it, but the 9-year-old kid was able to do it to him. So for that matter, we gave Eli, he won the weekend, but he also lost the weekend, which kind of takes me back to, I think it was my rookie year. Rest in peace to Bud Adams, former owner of the Tennessee Titans, but we're playing the Buffalo Bills at home.
Ralph
There was
Wilson.
a lot of bad blood between our ownership and Buffalo's ownership, and we beat the brakes off of Buffalo that particular game, which was many moons ago, over a decade. But Bud Adams was feeling the energy in the stadium as he proceeded to look across from his suite to Buffalo's suite, and he was flipping those birds and doing a dance with it, and that took me back to that moment. So rest in peace, Bud Adams, and his time there in Tennessee. But that was an awesome moment when you win the game and you get to get in the team meeting and put a picture up of ownership as he's flipping the birds, and he's excited about the win too.
And shout out Eli Manning, because Eli and Peyton doing their Monday night cast thing together as brothers. Anybody, if you watch this, shoot this over to Eli and Peyton. Tell them, can we get the McCourty twins on? We'll take Chris Long's fourth quarter, 2 minutes left slot. We'll take that. We're all good. You know what I mean? We got it.
Yeah.
But
as we get into a little bit of, you got something?
No, go ahead.
Before we get out of here, we want to just get into a little bit of community work in our More Than an Athlete section. Dev, I want you to kind of shed some light of the work that you're doing in Massachusetts to try to free William Allen.
Yeah, one of the best things is when the work that you're doing turns into the work that the team is also supporting. William Allen, a man who's been in prison 27 years, is seeking commutation from the state of Massachusetts. He's already got approval and recommendation from District Attorney Cruz, from family members of the deceased, from the parole board. William Allen was involved in a murder back in the late 90s, where he was involved in a robbery where the person he committed the robbery with then murdered the man. And back then, I don't want to get too into criminal and words, but it was considered a joint venture felony. And anybody involved in a joint venture felony, they would all receive the same charges. So therefore, he got charged with first-degree murder as well as his accomplice. His accomplice understood that, took a plea deal. William didn't. He thought, I didn't do that. I didn't murder this person. He decided to go to trial, and he got life. And now he is seeking commutation. Commutation is not saying I didn't commit the crime, I should be free. It's saying I did do that, but this sentence, and this is probably a little more harsh than what I'm in jail for. And now that crime and that charge could not be assessed because they no longer have that joint venture felony charge. And the man who committed the murder has now been out of prison for 11 years. And has been walking free. So now I got to be a part of a press conference, read the letter that I wrote to our governor here in Massachusetts, Governor Baker. Got to read that letter on the news and different things like that. And then after that, the team, the coaches actually came up with a letter, and every coach on our team signed. Ownership supports. The players wrote a letter, and players are now signing to send that letter also to the governor. The governor has a full year to decide if he will commutate William Allen's sentence and allow him to either be free and be released, and it'll be time served, 27 years in prison, or he could make him go through the parole and try to take it to second-degree murder. Then he would be eligible for parole, and he'd have to go through that whole process, which we're hoping he just gives him time served. But it's been an adventure. I've gotten to meet William Allen. I've gotten to talk to Will a couple different times. I'm actually going to try to connect with him in the next week or two coming up, just to lock back in with him. But it's been it's given me a lot of joy to be out there advocating for someone and something that, to me has extreme purpose. And this guy, he has so much purpose in life. Like, he knows what he wants to do, and really helped me out a lot. Just talking to him and understanding more about him. The guy's in prison and he has purpose. Think about that. Like, that is rehabilitation. He has gone through, he's in so many prison programs. So it's been an honor to try to defend and fight for him. So I love doing it beside my guys in my locker room. So it's been a lot of fun.
Man, couldn't have said that better. Best of luck to William Allen. Going to be saying a prayer for him, and hopefully he's able to get home to his family and friends after serving so much time. But happy to know that he's been rehabilitated and that he's continued to work on himself while being behind bars and in the situation that he's in. Appreciate that, Dev. Continue your great work. Learned a lot from you the 3 years that I got to walk side by side and do some of that work with you. But want to thank you guys for tuning in to another episode of Double Coverage with the McCourty twins. For you guys on YouTube, make sure you hit that subscribe button.
Tell them where we at. Tell them where we at.
Whatever you're watching, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Dev, you got anything to tell the people?
And you also better tell your mama we made it. I can't get too loud because the baby's asleep though. So.
Yeah, don't wake the baby up. That's not gonna end well. As always, follow us on social media: Twitter, Instagram, Facebook at McCourty Twins. We will see you guys next week. Have a great night.
All right, man. You too.